Welcome back to the next part. I vaguely forget, this might be part 7 or 8 or so, but we're going to be merging the new feature that we just added into main. So just a quick recap. I know I always end videos with recaps and start them with recaps. But what we did on the last part was we wrote some code, or we first copied over a new branch. We built a new branch. And then we wrote some code. We added it, we staged it, we committed it, and pushed it. And what we want to do in this part is simply take all this new branch material and push it to the main branch. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me delete this and let's do this. So let me move this real quick. And what I want to do is come up to source control. And I believe what I can do is click this button right here, which is going to say create pull request. And you guys can see that. It looks like this. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's the one that's right next to the check mark. So create pull request. And you can see from the remote repository what I'm creating. And it's going to say that the branch I'm pushing, it's going to be the branch you're on more than likely. But you could always choose which branch. And then it's going to say, well, where am I pushing it? Into this repository, the program with PAGs, our first project repository. And I want to push it into the main branch. So that's going to be the public one, right? And again, down the road, you could have multiple branches. You can have production. You can have a behind the scenes, almost production. You could do A/B testing. You could do a ton of stuff. But just for simplicity's sake, let's distill it all down. Let's water it down to, we just built a new feature. And we just want to push it into our main production. So we could title this pull request, right? And again, if we're using a project management system like Team Syncer, we can label our pull request based on the issues at hand or the work that's being done, right? Whether it's that Kanban -1 deal, we can label that here, right? So new branch feature, right? Maybe -1 or something. We could describe it. Well, we added a new feature that does this and this. And you should really describe these things. It's really important for QA teams to understand what's going on. So after all that's done, we could scroll down here. I can actually move this out of the way, but scroll down and I can create the pull request. And you can see it's creating. And pull request, new branch feature number 1 is available. So let's looks like it's asking for my passphrase here. So I'll go ahead and do that. And if we go now to GitHub, we should be able to see pull requests. So if I refresh at the top, you kind of have these desktop, but these directory commands. You can go to your code, your issues, your actions, your projects. And again, this is just going to be always over here. Always come to your profile. If you're lost, go to your repositories, click on your repository you want to access. This is where it's going to be. So we should see now that we have a new pull request indicated by that number 1 symbol. And it's the one we just built, new branch feature. Here it is. And I can click on it. And this is what I've done for work is you review other developers' code, and you look it over and you say, well, let's see the work that they did. Well, if I look at the commits, I can identify, oh, they added new branch feature and they added all this code. You can actually go in and check the branch as well. So you can, let's say we're on another machine. I can say git fetch all, git fetch -- all. And it'll fetch all the code that exists on the repository. Because again, let's say we're doing this, and let's say again Chester is doing this for another feature, right? So I built new feature, right? And let's say he's working on old feature, right? Or I'll say another new feature. And let's say I'm making a pull request, or I'm wanting to effectively merge my code, right? So his is old branch, right? We'll call it that. or another branch, I should say. And I'm wanting to merge this code. Before I merge this code, what Chester can do is pull down this code to his machine by saying git fetch. I know that's kind of a really long way around, but basically he's just copying all this code on new branch to his machine. So he can then plug his laptop up to this process and he can say, well, what does this code look like? Is it good? And then he can ultimately approve it or say, hey, can you work on this one thing? It seems to be breaking the code before I push it or before I merge it to main. Can you work on this one bit? So that's one thing you could do with a team is overview your merge request. But if you're working solo, not a big deal. Here you could just kind of double check and maybe write a test and just view the code that was changed. And then you can go ahead and merge pull request. You have options. You could do squash and merge. You can do a bunch of other things, but I'll go ahead and do squash and merge. That's typically what I go with. So I'll squash and merge. And then I can confirm the squash and merge request. So I'll say pull request successfully merged and closed. And then I can actually go ahead and delete the branch once we're done using it. I won't do that quite yet. Let's keep the branch for now, but we can go ahead and go to the index.html now in main, and we can review that there are new branch features in main. But to that point, and now I can go git checkout main. And the difference is now we've updated main, right? So Chester approved it, or even I double checked it, right? Let's delete this. Another new feature branch. So let's just say I double checked it before merging, and then I merged it to main. So main, I'm going to make it a different color right now, just to represent that it has a different, what's it called? Let me actually keep new branch up for now, but we merged it over and it's now different code. So my laptop, it still has the old version of main on it until I do something called git fetch. So my laptop is over here. It's still the yellow version of main, if you will, if I check out the main branch. And what I need to do is git fetch from git fetch and git pull from main, so that I can update my laptop to be the same code as main now, which is going to be that, or not that color, but that correct blue color. This one, boom. So we need to do this command first, because this is the code that is on GitHub, which is now different from our machine. So I know it seems like a lot of work, but let's go ahead and do that. So I'll say git fetch all, and I need to enter my passcode. It looks like it's going to fetch all the updates from main that were just merged in, and then I can say git pull, and you can see it's indicated as well in my CLI. I'll show you guys how to do that at some point, how to make all this prettiness on your terminal. But you could go ahead and say git pull, and then it'll update all of your code on your local machine, and you can see the file that was changed, index.html, all that stuff. And we go back to our file now, and we can see, oh, we do have new branch features now in main. So now we are up to date, and I can delete all this. We are now up to date with main branch. And the last thing we want to do is probably delete this new feature branch. That way we're ready to go if we need to build a new feature or a new branch. We now know the steps in the process on how to do it all. So it's rinse and repeat. So if we want to add, let's say, feature or bug branch, right? Maybe we realized that new feature that we added actually was a bug. Well, we need to make sure that we're updating it over here. We don't really, the last place we want to update, unless it's a serious bug, then you definitely want to update it quickly on main. But even then, you still want to build a branch and go through this process to update the code on your laptop and merge it this way. So write code, do this, and then merge it over. And then ultimately your branch will change colors. Not literally, but in our brain, think of it that way. And then we now need to update our laptop to be all the main branch code. But let's go ahead and delete that new branch real quick, that old one that we had. And let's do that to show you guys how to do it. So we no longer need the new feature branch. It's now merged in. We've double checked that it's merged in. And I can say git checkout or git branch to see what branches exist. I can see that new feature branch still exists. So let's say git, how do I do it? Well, let's just Google it real quick. How to delete branch on GitHub. I'll say CLI for command line. It looks like git branch dash dash delete and then the branch name. And I can actually do git branch delete or dash D even for delete. And I'll make sure it's the new feature branch. And I'll say boom, deleting branch, boom, boom, boom. That has been merged, but not yet merged to head. That's fine. It's not a big deal for us. So let's actually do, let's double check that it's deleted. So it's boom, it's deleted off of our machine. And it may still exist in GitHub's repositories. So let's refresh this. Let's see if it deletes it up here. It looks like it doesn't delete it in GitHub quite yet. So what we can do is come to here, git branch, or I believe we can actually let's refetch all the files. Oops. I could say git pull. I believe we still have access to the new branch, but we should. Now let's see. So I'll say git delete or git branch dash capital D. I'll say new feature, and let's see what this does. Oh, new feature not found. Okay, so, but end of the day, we do want to delete it off of GitHub as well. So let's go back to our repository. Your main branch isn't protected. We can view that in a moment. But let's see, let's go to branches, I suppose, and let's delete it. So view branches, I just want to double check. You always want to double check that you're not deleting main. That's super important. So let's delete that and let's press delete as well. Branch could not be deleted. Why? Okay, let's refresh. Oh, there it goes. It was deleted. Okay, perfect. So the reason why we want to do that, we just want to keep our repository clean and relatively lightweight. You may want a copy of main, but more importantly, overall, you just want to make sure that your entire repository is pretty lightweight before working on the next new feature or the next new bug. So that's a bit of the Git workflow. I want to do one more part just to show you a few little tips and tricks that I use all the time. And yeah, so let's do that. And that'll be the last part, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.